Do you know that Robert Pattinson, Eddie Redmayne, Andrew Garfield, Charlie Cox, Tom Sturridge, and Jamie Dornan lived together at one point in their lives? Batman, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Lord Morpheus, Newt Scamander, and Christian Grey. Living together. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? And now look at where they are. Before fame, before franchises, before global recognition, these actors were part of the same struggling circle, chasing auditions and surviving uncertainty. And this didn't happen in London. It happened in Los Angeles. In the late 2000s, Hollywood wasn't calling yet. They were the ones doing the calling. Jamie Dornan and Eddie Redmayne were the anchor of the group. They were actual roommates, sharing a house in LA while trying to break into the industry. Dornan has since described those days as chaotic. There was no fridge full of food, just a fridge full of beer and a lot of hope. They've joked in interviews about going to the same auditions, prepping the same lines, and then coming home to see who got the call back. Most of the time, none of them did. Andrew Garfield was right there in the thick of it. He was grinding through stage work and small roles, still years away from the weight of the Spider-Man suit. He was just another face in the crowd at the local Hollywood bars. Charlie Cox was there too. Long before he was the man without fear in Marvel's Daredevil, he was just another young actor hoping a casting director would finally say yes. Robert Pattinson moved in and out of that same social orbit. He was broke, frustrated, and notoriously unsure if acting was even the right path. This was the quiet before the storm, just months before Twilight would turn his world upside down and make him the most famous man on the planet. He also mentioned that he was often the last wheel and oversight. He said, whenever there was a last piece of pizza left, those guys used to invite him. And then there was Tom Sturridge. Close friends with Pattinson since they were kids, he was part of the same group, the same struggle, the same uncertain future. It would take over a decade of dedication before he stepped into the mantle of Lord Morpheus in The Sandman. They weren't celebrities. They were roommates, friends, and hopefuls, sharing space, sharing ambition, sharing the fear that none of this might work. Fast forward to today. One becomes Batman. One becomes Spider-Man. One becomes Daredevil. One becomes Dream of the Endless. One wins an Oscar. And one becomes a global pop culture phenomenon. But let's revisit each of their careers a bit and see who has been the most successful, although all of them have made it big time. But still, let's see where they are now. Starting with Robert Pattinson. In that shared LA house, Rob was the pity invite. He's joked that the others only brought him to dinners out of sympathy because they thought he'd never actually make it. Then came Twilight, and he became a global obsession overnight. But instead of coasting on heartthrob fame, Rob did the opposite. He spent a decade disappearing into gritty indie films like Good Time and The Lighthouse just to prove he could act. He dismantled his pretty boy image to become a powerhouse character actor. By the time he suited up for the Batman, the world wasn't asking if the vampire guy could do it. They were waiting to see how far he'd push the darkness. He didn't just survive fame, he conquered it on his own terms. Then there's Eddie Redmayne. While the others provided the chaos, Eddie provided the structure. He was the one who kept the house organized, and he actually still owns the gang pottery they all made at a shop when they were bored, broke, and waiting for the phone to ring. Eddie's career is defined by sheer, transformative skill. He didn't just make it, he swept Hollywood. From his Oscar-winning turn as Stephen Hawking to leading the Fantastic Beasts franchise, Eddie became the industry's go-to for roles requiring intense physical preparation. Today, he's a staple of both the silver screen and the Broadway stage, recently winning massive acclaim in Cabaret. He is the definition of prestige, the roommate who turned a disciplined work ethic into a shelf full of the industry's highest honors. Next is Andrew Garfield. Before the blockbuster deals, Andrew was the guy sharing a single burger with Jamie Dornan at the Standard Hotel because they literally couldn't afford two. Today, he is arguably the most beloved Spider-Man in history, but his success goes far beyond the mask. He's a two-time Oscar nominee who has worked with legends like Martin Scorsese and Mel Gibson, proving he's just as comfortable in a prestige drama as he is in a superhero suit. Whether he's singing his heart out in Tick, Tick, Boom, or playing a haunted detective in Under the Banner of Heaven, Andrew brings a raw vulnerability that makes him a one-of-a-kind talent. He is the actor's actor of the group, the roommate who proved that being the most sensitive person in the room is actually a superpower. Don't forget Charlie Cox. In the early days, Charlie was just another guy in the circle, grinding through pilot seasons that went nowhere and struggling to pay rent. At one point, he even had to move back to London because his visa was running out and the work just wasn't coming. But when he landed Daredevil, everything changed. He didn't just play a superhero, he created a cult phenomenon. He was so committed to the role that he famously messed up a Star Wars audition afterward because he'd forgotten how to make eye contact with other actors. When his show was abruptly canceled, the fans fought for him with a massive #SaveDaredevil campaign. It was so powerful that Marvel had no choice but to bring him back for Daredevil, Born Again. Charlie proved that you don't need a billion-dollar movie to be an icon, you just need a performance so unforgettable that the audience refuses to let you go. And then there's Tom Sturridge. For a long time, Tom was the one who stayed under the radar. While his best friend, Robert Pattinson, was dodging paparazzi and leading franchises, Tom was quietly building a massive reputation in the theater world, earning Tony nominations and respect from the harshest critics. He was actually the first of the group to almost land a massive superhero-style role. He was cast as the lead in the movie Jumper Back in 2006, only to be replaced by a more famous actor just 2 weeks before filming. It was a crushing blow that could have ended a career. But Tom represents the slow burn. He didn't chase the fame, he chased the craft. It took years, but he finally found the role he was born for. Lord Morpheus in Netflix's The Sandman. He took one of the most unadaptable characters in comic book history and made it his own, beating out over 1,000 other actors for the part. He's proof that if you have the talent, your moment won't just find you, it'll wait for you. Finally, Jamie Dornan. Jamie started as a model, the golden torso and the pretty boy of the group, before becoming a global household name as Christian Grey. But Jamie's real success is what happened after the franchise. He refused to be defined by a single role, breaking out of the heartthrob mold with a spine-chilling performance as a serial killer in The Fall, and his deeply moving, Golden Globe-nominated turn in Belfast. He successfully navigated the model-turned-actor stigma to become one of the most versatile leading men in the industry. He's now an executive producer and a critical darling, proving that he was always more than just a face on a billboard. He didn't just survive the spotlight, he mastered it. So, fast forward to today, we have to ask the big question, looking at this group of 6, who is the most successful? It depends on how you measure a career. If you measure by money and star power, it's Robert Pattinson. Between Twilight and The Batman, his films have grossed over $5 billion. He's transitioned from a teen idol into a permanent A-list titan, recently headlining Bong Joon-ho's sci-fi epic Mickey 17 and preparing for The Batman. Part 2. He isn't just an actor anymore, he's a cinematic event. If you measure by prestige, it's Eddie Redmayne. He's the award king of the house. With an Oscar, a Tony, a BAFTA, and 2 Olivers, he has the kind of trophy shelf most actors only dream of. From The Theory of Everything to his record-breaking run in Cabaret, Eddie is the gold standard for transformative acting. But if you measure by impact and fan love, the title might go to Andrew Garfield or Charlie Cox. Andrew didn't just play Spider-Man, he became the emotional soul of the multiverse, moving audiences to tears in No Way Home and Tick, Tick, Boom. Meanwhile, Charlie Cox achieved the impossible. His performance as Daredevil was so iconic that fans literally forced Marvel to bring him back for Born Again. They didn't just play characters, they became symbols. And then you have Jamie Dornan and Tom Sturridge, who proved that longevity is the ultimate success. Jamie successfully shed the 50 Shades shadow to become a world-class leading man in Belfast, while Tom took a decade of theater craft and turned it into the definitive portrayal of the Sandman. The reality? They all won. They went from sharing a fridge full of cold cuts and splitting a single burger to owning the biggest franchises on the planet. It's the ultimate Hollywood fairy tale. Not because they got rich, but because they did it together, surviving the rejection letters as a team. So, who's your favorite from the group? Who do you think had the most impressive glow up from those early LA days? Let's talk about it in the comments. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the secret histories of your favorite stars. I'll see you in the next one. By the way, if you enjoy Rewind videos, here are 2 I recommend you to watch from our channel. You will not regret it.